Honorable members, let us commit this sitting to prayer. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and county assemblies for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, I confirm that we have quorum to proceed with the sitting. Clerks at the table read the orders of the day.
Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next order.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, the chair has the following communication to make. Number 1, the following amendments have been made to the membership of various committees. Honorable Crispus Tondo is added to the following committees: the Committee of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries as the Vice Chairperson. Transport, Roads, Public Works and Infrastructure Development Committee as a member. Lands and Human Wildlife Conflict Resolution as a member. Powers and Privileges Committee as a member. Delegated County Legislation Committee as a member. And finally, Budget, Finance and Appropriations Committee as a member. Honorable Halifa Taraya is added to the following committees: Committee on Implementation as the Vice Chairperson, and member in the following committees: Public Investments and Accounts Committee, Procedure and Rules Committee, Health and Sanitation Services Committee, Youth and Sports Committee, and finally, the Committee of Tourism. 2, there shall be a whole house committee meeting immediately after the rise of this afternoon sitting. Number 3, the Committee on Lands and Human Wildlife Conflict Resolution to meet in the chambers briefly after the rise of the House. I believe immediately after, I direct that immediately after the whole House meeting, That is, the meetings shall just come after the rise of the afternoon sitting. Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Next order.
Order number 8, motion, adoption and approval of the report of the Select Committee on County Budget, Finance and Appropriation on the consideration of the TAITA TAVETA County Supplementary 1 estimates for financial year 2023-2024.
Yes, Chair, Budget, Finance and Appropriations Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, sir, in line with the provision of the County Assembly Standing Order number 189-3B, I hereby present the report of the Budget and Appropriation Committee on the first supplementary estimate for financial year 2023-2024. The supplementary 1 estimate were tabled in the County Assembly on Tuesday, 7th November 2023, pursuant to Article 223 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Section 135(2) of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, Regulation 39 of the Public Finance Management Regulation 2015, and Standing Order number 217-1. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee recommendations. Arising from the above observations, the committee recommends that the House approves the following recommendations: that the county treasury should put stringent mechanism to ensure the county government realizes its own source revenue as provided in the supplementary budget estimate 1 financial year 2023-2024. This will cushion the county from incurring pending bills in the future. 2, that the county executive should operationalize monitoring and evaluation unit for effective project implementation and put an end to delay of project implementation. 3, that the County Assembly approves the submitted supplementary budget 1 to sufficiently provide for employees' emolument and community health promoters stipend. 4, that the County Assembly approves allocation for TAITA TAVETA Investment and Development Corporation of Kenya shilling 8 million. That the County Assembly approves allocation for County Aggregated Industrial Park of Kenya shilling 50 million. That the County Assembly approves allocation for Rice Value Addition Program for Kenya shilling 45 million. That the County Assembly approves additional allocation for pending bills worth 57,356,946. That the County Assembly approves additional allocation of county executive salaries and wages of Kenya shilling 75,500,000. That the County Assembly approves a deduction of Kenya shilling 150 million from ward equalization projects. Therefore, the ward equalization projects allocation is Kenya shilling 250 million, whereby each ward will equally get Kenya shilling 12,500,000 worth of projects. That the County Assembly approves bursary allocation of Kenya shilling 200 million whereby each ward will equally get 10 million for bursary. That the County Assembly approves a deduction of Kenya shilling 45 million from the County Executive Recurrent and Development Expenditure as attached in the next year County Executive deduction. That the County Assembly budget is amended as in the attached next year County Assembly Supplementary 1 estimate for financial year 2023-2024. That the ward equalization projects are amended as in the attached next year county ward equalization projects. That once approved by this House, this report forms the basis for preparation of first supplementary appropriation bill 2023-2024 fiscal year. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is therefore my humble duty and privilege on behalf of the County Budget and Appropriations Committee to table the report on the first supplementary budget estimate financial year 2023-2024 and recommend it to the House for adoption and approval. Mr. Speaker, sir, of very great important issues to note as a committee is the allocation, the increase to 10 million of the bursary allocation per ward, as earlier promised by both the County Assembly and even the Governor in his visits to the people. Also, we have the industrial park, which we are hoping within that industrial park, our county, which does not have even a single industry, will fast track or begin the first steps of developing industry. And within that area, we shall also have an R&D unit, that is research and development, which we greatly need. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is unfortunate that even up to today, the only source of employment for the people of TAITA TAVETA is the county government. Hence, our wage bill is overblown, but little or very little room is left to locomote around that. But until such a time when this county grows its own industries, then we'll still be bedfilled by the challenge of unemployment. Mr. Speaker, sir, this county is endowed with resources from mineral gemstones, from agriculture opportunities, including we have allocated funds for the rice value addition. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is unfortunate that our rice in Kenya, in TAITA TAVETA, goes to Tanzania at a cost of 50 shillings per kilo, value added and resold back to the Kenyans in TAVETA and TAITA at 170 shillings. Mr. Speaker, sir, that is a whooping 130 shillings for every kilo. Something that we can actually save this county from spending on and increase our own source revenue. Mr. Speaker, sir, within this, there is still so much need for this county. Needs that we cannot meet as of today. Needs that we still need to put our heads together. And all the leaders in TAITA TAVETA, including this House, must keep on discussing and conversing together with the leaders of TAITA TAVETA who are in upper houses, like the national government and the National Assembly and the Senate, in fast-tracking what the President assured the people of TAITA TAVETA the other day, a 50-50 revenue sharing of the parks, for instance. We need to fast-track such an activity. We also need to start looking into the possibilities of being like counties like Narok, where part of the game sanctuaries are actually game reserves, where the counties make a lot of money in terms of revenue in licensing and managing the general game reserve. This county has moved green. This country, Kenya, has moved green. TAITA TAVETA is endowed with green. We have 63% as a national park. That is all green. What we do with that green is upon all the leaders of TAITA TAVETA to come together. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, as we pass this supplementary budget, and as I beg the whole House to support it full throttle, we are aware that there is still so much that this county needs. There is still so much that we need to do in health. There is still so much we need to do in matters education. Even the 10 million may not be enough. There is still so much potential in agriculture that we still need to do. All this requires money. Mr. Speaker, sir, with those few remarks, I urge the House for starters to support this supplementary budget, and I also urge my fellow politicians in TAITA TAVETA County, we should all work together and start realizing the low-hanging fruits, including the 50-50% revenue sharing of the park. This should be realized before the close of this year. Otherwise, come April, we'll be having another budget, draft budget for 2024-2025, and the same challenges will bedevil us. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir. Sorry. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to invite Honorable Member for Marungu Ward to support this motion.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that this third county assembly adopts and approves the report of the Select Committee on County Budget, Finance and Appropriations on the consideration of the TAITA TAVETA County Supplementary 1 estimates for financial year 2023-2024, laid on the table of this House on 14th November 2023, morning sitting number 075 and its recommendations thereof. Honorable members, the floor is open for debate. Honorable Tondo.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, kama ilivyokuwa jina langu kutaja wa kwanza, naona ni vyema niweze kunena haya, na kabla niweze kuchangia katika hii hoja iliyoletwa hapa na mheshimiwa wa bajeti, Mheshimiwa Spika, wacha niwashukuru vinara wa bunge hili kuweza kututendea haki, haswa sisi watu wa TAVETA wawili ambaye kwa mwaka mmoja, Mheshimiwa Spika, tumekaa kwa jua. Tumekaa kwa jua pasipokuwa na mwavuli, lakini kwa leo hii Mungu ametunusuru. Mheshimiwa Spika, leo nilikuwa nimekaa kwa muda nikiwa na raha za kiajabu, kumbe mema yalikuwa yananifuata. Mheshimiwa Spika, haikuwa desturi yangu, lakini kwa leo Mheshimiwa Spika, ningelipenda kuambia kwamba Mungu akitujalia tukikutana huko juu, viongozi kama mtanikuta huko ni mwatangulia, kiti nilichoketia huko mbinguni nitawapisha na nyinyi mketie. Mheshimiwa Spika, nasimama kuunga hoja hii mkono Mheshimiwa Spika, tukijua ya kwamba hali halisi ya hii bajeti ya nyongeza palikuwa kuna mambo kadha wa kadha yalikuwa kwa lazima atendeke ndio posa mambo yawe sawa. So Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nasimama kuunga hoja hii mkono nikijua ya kwamba vilivyo vya TAITA na TAVETA vitawafikia kwa wakati, na pia kuweza kumpatia gavana nafasi ya kuweza kutekeleza wajibu wake kama mtekelezaji. Mheshimiwa Spika, mara kwa mara upande wa kule kwa executive wanaweza kuwa na malalamisha kwamba wametuletea hoja huku na tukaiweka kwa muda mrefu pasipo kuifanyia kazi, lakini leo hii tukianza kutekeleza wajibu huu, ina maana ya kwamba bunge la TAITA TAVETA liko tayari kufanya kazi na kutenda haki kwa mtaita na mtaveta ili aweze kupatiwa huduma kwa wakati ufao. So Mheshimiwa Spika, nasimama kuunga hoja hii mkono, na pia warai na kuomba waheshimiwa wenzangu tuweze kuunga hoja hii mkono, tukijua kwamba haya yote tunayafanya kwa wema wa mtaita na mtaveta. Nakomea hapo, na pia kuambia na kuwakumbusha waheshimiwa wenzangu, mambo kangaja huenda yakaja. So na wale ambao labda kwa sasa hivi walikuwa wamenitangulia na sasa hivi nimewapita, mjue pia mambo ni mengi yanaweza kugeuka huko mbele na yakawa mema kwa upande wenu. Na wewe Taraya pia kukuomba pia hii ni nafasi tumepatiwa, na tukikosea tena tutaweza kurudishwa pale tulikuwa. So kunyenyekevu tusikae tena mwaka mzima kwa baridi. Otherwise, nimeshukuru sana Mheshimiwa Spika, nasimama kuunga hoja hii mkono.
Honorable Member for Mahoward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, Mr. Speaker, I'm getting to understand Honorable Tondo that maybe he has some seats that he needs to dispute in heaven. And you know, I know how assured is he that he's going there, or you will be on the other side of the devil, or God. No. Otherwise, first of all, let me take this opportunity to thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and the leadership, also considering them, be part and also get more committees. That's great. Congratulations. And also take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to recommend the committee for budget for good work done. This house was well involved in the budget making, and I'm happy that as we said, and we unlock this issue about the budget, now the ball now goes to the executive. Mr. Speaker, most of the time we have been doing a good job. We have been pushed to reduce our one development fund so that things can be done. And Mr. Speaker, I know we will not meet here again, and I want to send this signal to the executive that we have done our part, and we do as a house that we are going to do what is expected for us. But now we want now to get to the field and find the work done. As you approve this budget, we want the project that has been approved, no matter how small they are, that they are going, the implementation is going to be done. The Speaker, last budget we did, but let me know, let this house understand that some of these projects were not done. And we want this time, let us work with what we call timeline, that these projects are going to be done because members of the TAITA TAVETA account need to be served. Also recommend the governor for some project that he has requested. One being the factory that is expected to be established in, whereby we are now going to have a factory for the rice, and also other areas that of need. Mr. Speaker, we are going to be very keen now to play our role as an oversight, that we want pure implementation. Mr. Speaker, we have another factor that has started. That is now the banana plant. That so far we have no explanation and how things went. We want, if it's about implementation of the project that we have passed here, they should be implemented to the 100%. Also, Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about, also recommend on, as a chair of education, commend this House and also the executive for allowing us budget for the World Development Fund. And now, for now, we are going to give out a bursary of 10 million. I want to call upon now members to take up advantage of that we are going to be very fair. I call upon members, make sure that the recommendations that are being given by leaders, that we are not awarding bursary fairly. Let us make sure that that one is done to the best. That the needy, those who are needy children are going to benefit. And also try to minimize members of the community waking up in the morning looking for fees at our homes. We want to make sure that this one is also done the best way. I call upon members, if we are through with the other part of the bill, I think we shall be in a position now to award the bursaries as early as possible so that our kids can access learning. Lastly and not least, Mr. Speaker, I only want to also urge this House, as we stand together as a House to support this budget. Supporting this budget is not enough. Let us go and oversight the implementation. That's the key part of it. And call upon that we make sure that also the corruption in all the dealings are minimized, Mr. Speaker, so that we can also, the value of money can be realized in our areas of where we are coming from. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I support the motion and call upon members to support this motion so that we can end this business. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to echo my sentiments. First, I'd like to congratulate Committee of Budget and Appropriation Committee for the good job and the technical team also. This is a history we are making. Mr. Speaker, sir, first, before I comment on this budget estimates, I've learned something very new today. When I came to this parliament, I saw this is not a church or a mosque. And today it's true, I've learned this is not a church or a mosque by the sentiments of my brother, Honorable Tondoa Masaga. When you come here, you have to align yourself by the leadership of this House. You cannot go against this House and you think you can have your way as you think or smoothly. So it's high time, let's work together, and it's good you have acknowledged that we are ready to work together. Mr. Speaker, sir, once I come back to what I want to comment on. Mr. Speaker, sir, first, this House has done a very good job by considering our contractors, giving out the pending bills, part of the pending bills over 250 million, Mr. Speaker, sir. That's a good sign. At least our contractors, part of them, they're not going to cry. And I know we are going to make sure that all the pending bills are paid by the time we end June this financial year. Mr. Speaker, sir, also on the health sector, which is the key sector, we have put over 270 million, Mr. Speaker, sir, which is going to help a lot in terms of medicine and maintaining the hospitals, Mr. Speaker, sir. Also this agriculture, in terms of rice value addition. First, we didn't know what is it, but after we got the knowledge from the CCM, agriculture, and the governor, at least we knew. Once we have a lot in TAVETA, in Bohoni, in specific, about things to do with rice farming. Rice farming in TAITA TAVETA only, we can feed the whole of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, sir. Only that we need to put more monies and more effort so that we can do value addition and so that we can be better and we can make more income in our county. We can generate more income. Mr. Speaker, sir, what has made me happy more is about the bursary. At least our kids are not going to have stresses in going to school. I'd like to remind my brother, Honorable Kimuyu, it's not 10 million, it's 200 million. That is 10 million per ward. So, and that is part of the other side. And also the side of governor also is going to add his own bursaries. So there is over 200 million in terms of bursary, which our children are going to benefit. Mr. Speaker, sir, this house makes legislation. They do their legislation and oversight very well. But the problem, it is in terms of implementation. Executive, kindly, we are begging you, whatever we have executed here, can you implement it? Don't waste your time, implement it right on time so that our people can get services. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable Makalo, kindly let's give Honorable Anissa an opportunity. I know precedence requires that I should have given you the opportunity, but she had tried to catch the speaker's eye earlier.
Thank you.
Honorable Anissa, you can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I stand this afternoon before this Honorable House to support the report by Budget and Appropriation Committee, our first supplementary budget. And I have reasons as to why I stand to support. But before I go there, Mr. Speaker, I want to godly thank and appreciate the gesture being displayed by the House leadership. Mr. Speaker, I have seen no hardlines in the leadership. I'm seeing no hardliners in TAVETA County Assembly. And in that spirit, Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to trust and believe that we will move far, we will do more, we will become more friendlier, because, as they say, forgiveness is divine. So before this Honorable House, I want to say thank you to the leadership for considering the reinstatement to the committees, our two brothers. God will bless you more. Mr. Speaker, coming back to the supplementary budget, I'm in this TAVETA County Assembly courtesy of the education that my mother and my father paid for. Mr. Speaker, if we look critically the way the government is moving and the likes of taxes being imposed on Kenyans each and every single day, my biggest fear, Mr. Speaker, I was expecting come 2024, we will have very few daughters and sons going for secondary education. But on the contrary, Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to appreciate the moves that have been made in doubling the bursary fund. We have moved from 5 million to 10 million. That's a commendable job, Mr. Speaker, and if I don't say it here, then I'll not be appreciating the efforts that are being exhibited. Specifically, I want to congratulate my colleagues, elected MCAs, for standing by your word after promising the residents that you will make sure the bursary fund will move from 5 million to 10 million. Surely you have really exhibited that servant leadership in you, and that way you will go far. Mr. Speaker, sir, why I'm zeroing my statement on bursary, that is just a direct and sentimental attachment between the lowest earners of this land and the government through the leadership. And this is, I'm talking about the MCAs for TAVETA County Assembly. Mr. Speaker, sir, another reason why I support this supplementary budget, it's a wake-up call for TAVETA. Now we're going to have our industrial estate, or rather a trading estate. It is a proposed a proposal for industrial development, an area where it's zoned for industrial use, Mr. Speaker. In most cases, everybody wakes up one morning, decides to look for a site where he can do his or her own cause without caring or rather getting proper environment or a conducive environment to undergo their activities, and this is in line with industrial use, Mr. Speaker. I want to reiterate here that we have had cases of large numbers of youths who are not employed. Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate this move by coming up with the industrial park, because I want to believe and I trust that it's gonna create a lot of job opportunities for our jobless youths. Mr. Speaker, job creation has been a problem to our youths. They are not empowered. They end up falling into traps of vices that destroy their lives. At TAITA TAVETA Youth, Honorable Mr. Speaker, we were at a verge where our youths were losing hope in life. But I want to believe here and now that once this is implemented and the targets are met, we'll have lesser unemployed youths in this county. Mr. Speaker, this I say because I'm a mother, and I know how it feels having youths just under one umbrella, that house where a mother has no stable income, the father has no stable income, and the youth is engaged into drugs and illicit brews. In this matter, Mr. Speaker, I want to believe that our youth's lives are going to be improved and come up with better citizens, better youth than we're having now. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker. Again, I say I support the supplementary budget, the first supplementary budget before this House today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member for Kasigao.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to air my views and put my weight on the first supplementary budget of 2023-2024, Mr. Speaker. First and foremost, I want to congratulate the honorable members of the Budget Committee for burning the midnight oil to make sure that as a House we are able to see through this document and enable our county to be operational by going through it and possibly passing the supplementary budget, Mr. Speaker. Also, without forgetting, I would also want to congratulate the members who actively participated yesterday on the tree planting activity, Mr. Speaker. We had agreed as a House here, and I want to congratulate each member who really went out of their way to plant trees. And as we had agreed, Mr. Speaker, that by February 13th, we should be able to be seeing each tree planted, the progress. I do believe that will happen, Mr. Speaker. And I also want to congratulate the wildlife folks for coming in that needy time that we wanted their support, for making sure that, Mr. Speaker, we had the tree seedlings to be able to participate on the 13th day, Mr. Speaker. I also want to appreciate our President for considering environment and setting a day for this country that we are also walking the talk of climate change and the mitigation measures, Mr. Speaker. On to the supplementary budget, I want to agree that this is a document that has been well thought. It had a lot of factors that were considered, Mr. Speaker, looking at the changes that have happened. And I agree with the budget chair that there are some things that are of critical importance to this county and this country, Mr. Speaker. When I was vying, I had a goal of putting education first. I had three things in consideration, Mr. Speaker, and education was one of the things that I was putting first among the three things. And I'm happy to see that one of the big winners in this supplementary, Mr. Speaker, is education. Our parents and our children of this county, Mr. Speaker, will be taking a total of 200 million. If you look at it from a percentage perspective, Mr. Speaker, is among the biggest winners. And this is very good. This is a very commendable job to our governor and the team that is walking the talk of education for this county, Mr. Speaker. That's very good. However, there are issues that this personally feel they are losers in this supplementary budget, one of them being the mining sector, Mr. Speaker. We celebrated the other day when we were opening the Value Addition Gem Center. And I was also in presence of one of the meetings that President attended when he talked of us receiving royalties of what the 51 million, and he directed that 51 million should be reinvested back to the mining department, Mr. Speaker. But I checked through here, unfortunately, I saw zero on the development part of the mining sector, which is kind of unfortunate. But for the sake of our movement forward, I do believe the future budget making process, Mr. Speaker, will not overlook the concept of mining. This county is blessed with minerals, Mr. Speaker, and we cannot be launching projects here and we are putting zero bucket on developments for the sake of supporting our fellow brothers and sisters who are actively participating in the mining department. They need our support, and I do believe Governor is one of the people who are championing the mining sector, one of the artisanal miners, Mr. Speaker. So I agree that in the future consideration through the able chair of the budget, please make consideration such in the future when you are expecting some supplementary, because the President promised and a revenue that will come through the Savo East and Savo West. If that happens, Mr. Speaker, not only being the chair, but also being in an area that where most of the minerals is also done, Mr. Speaker, I want it to go to record that we are requesting that department should be given a consideration in the next allocation, Mr. Speaker. But all said, Mr. Speaker, I strongly agree with this budget, and I call upon all other fellow members so that we are able to undertake activities. Though the challenge remains on the implementation, Mr. Speaker. We have seen our duty is to pass the budget, but again we pass the duty to the implementation department, Mr. Speaker. We have about 7 or 6 months or so of implementation, and I do believe if the departments that we are going to task here, Mr. Speaker, they will really be up to their duties, we should be able to implement 100% of this budget, Mr. Speaker. We are not only going to be looking at the implementation part, but also we need to look at the revenue, Mr. Speaker. I saw here our own source revenue, which has grown to 529. I don't know how realistic that one is, Mr. Speaker. I do believe the team is well informed, but 529, including the FYIF, Mr. Speaker, is coming to a close about 700 million. I do believe that is achievable, so that we don't find ourselves in in pending bills. So I agree. If that is achievable, Mr. Speaker, that also needs to be monitored very closely, so that we're able to realize the 529 million as our own source revenue. In agriculture, is one department that have also won largely, and we are supporting that effort. I do believe next time they will not look only on the other side, but also the livestock area, Mr. Speaker, should be given a consideration, especially in the low land areas where most of the people practice livestock and ranching, Mr. Speaker. We need to see some support on the same. But all said, I confirm that I support this budget, and I call upon other members, Mr. Speaker, to put their weight on this budget to enable our county to operate. With those remarks, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Shambi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I want from the onset to congratulate my chairman, Budget and Appropriations Committee, Honorable Jimmy Mwamidi, MCA Undanyi Mbale, for the great job. I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate the Budget Committee, together with the Secretariat, for the good job that they have done in burning the midnight oil, as it has been insinuated here by one of my colleagues, to ensure that they've delivered this report, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, secondly, I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate Honorable Masaga Tondo and Taraya for having won the heart of the leadership of the Assembly and being considered for various committees that they have been missing. We strongly believe that their input will go a great way in pushing this Assembly to the next level in terms of the 3 responsibilities that are bestowed on this honorable House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to add my weight again on this report, and I want also to say that I stand here to support the report with a few remarks. And Mr. Speaker, this is a report that is geared towards giving us a supplementary budget that is designed to support expenditure for this government to its citizens. Mr. Speaker, there's a saying that says a government is as good as its budget, Mr. Speaker. For a long time in this House, and even outside this House, Mr. Speaker, I've been of the opinion that the resource envelope is inadequate. This county is one of the least funded counties, and I'm sure members here are all aware. And for that reason, we have no options but to try and work in improving the on-source revenue, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, for a very long time, I've been having this conversation with my colleagues and many other people in these corridors on how are we going to improve on our own resource revenue so that we do not entirely depend on the exchequer to fund our budgets, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, it has been a difficult question to be answered by even the finance department, because I strongly believe that the only supplementary option of having additional resource in this county government, Mr. Speaker, is the on-source revenue. However, the real principles of economics is that you ought to invest for you to be able to get returns. And I've been looking at the budget, even from the previous mother budget that we have, the ones that we are seeking to amend today, and I am not convinced, Mr. Speaker, that we are actually investing in building our own source revenue. And Mr. Speaker, that is why I strongly support this budget, because looking at it, I specifically want to highlight the issue of value addition to rice, Mr. Speaker. This for me is a game changer for many reasons. One of the reasons is that this being a factory of some sort, it is opening up the rice farming from TAVETA, where it is supposed to be, to the rest of the country and East Africa, Mr. Speaker. And the reason why this one is so important is because it is automatically going to create more employment, Mr. Speaker. Employment, direct employment, and even self-employment for the people that will be working within that infrastructure of the rice value addition. And Mr. Speaker, at this juncture, I want to challenge the CEC for agriculture. Now that we are going to approve this budget, Mr. Speaker, and we are going to allocate adequate resources in ensuring that this project takes off, then it is his responsibility to ensure that he puts a lot of effort in ensuring that they enhance the acreage of rice farming from the current 9,300 to double that acreage, Mr. Speaker, to about 18,000, as it was said by the governor. It is important that we expand this so that as the more we expand, the more we produce. And the more we produce, the more labor we require, and therefore we'd have been creating a lot of employment for our young people. Then secondly, I want to also challenge local investors, Mr. Speaker. We cannot increase the acreage of rice farming in this county without the support of the local investors. Local investors in this case is the people that we need to encourage our people, our local investors, to be able to start engaging themselves in rice farming. And now that they have the support of the government, it has been proven that it pays. It's a business a business enterprise that is very profitable, and therefore want to challenge local farmers to be able to venture into this particular value chain, Mr. Speaker. And I'm saying this, Mr. Speaker, with a lot of humility, because we have a challenge as a TAVETA County community of complaining. The opportunities are opened, we are just there sitting, then other people from without the county would come in and see the opportunity, invest in them, start making a kill, and then we start complaining. I want to challenge the local investors, local farmers, whoever is engaged on farming, to take advantage of this opportunity and ensure that they do rice farming, and that way we'll be creating more employment for the youth of our county. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge the young people of this county, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have a challenge of joblessness. This plant alone would not be able to provide employment opportunities for all the young unemployed people. But we have an opportunity whereby the young people can be supported, even in groups, to be able to be given acreage where they can do farming and make their own money, Mr. Speaker. It is now time to be able to wake up. And as the Chair Implementation Committee, I want to assure this House that the minute we pass this budget, Mr. Speaker, it is my responsibility and that of my committee And I'm happy that the Vice Chair of Implementation Committee is the MCA from Mbogoni. Now the task is cut out for him, that we need to be knocking on those doors and ensure that this project is implemented to the letter and its spirit, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, also, I want to challenge ourselves as the legislators of this county. It is true that we have a problem of employment. It is true that we have a problem of on-source revenue. But it is also true that we are the people who could be holding the solution to ensuring that our resource envelope grows. And one of the challenges that I want to give to this Honorable House and the members is that it's important that when we go out there to the field, to be able to create and sensitize our communities, sensitize our farmers, sensitize our youth, sensitize everybody who is concerned to ensure that this project becomes a success. Because I believe the success of this project is not only bring an impact to the TAVETA people, but it is for the goodness of the entire county of TAITA TAVETA County, Mr. Speaker. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, the project by itself is adequate to be able to generate up to 170 million Kenya shillings as a revenue that would otherwise be added into this into the resource envelope of the county. And this is revenue, Mr. Speaker, that is going to be generated from this project. And Mr. Speaker, I'm looking at it from the return on investment aspect of it. We are going to invest 45 million for this financial year, and we are almost guaranteed that we are going to reap 171 million. Mr. Speaker, there is no better business to be constructed than this one. So it is in the spirit of return on investment that I urge this House, every member in this House, to be able to support this motion and this report, so that we pass this supplementary, so that we get to the ground working as fast as is practically possible. We put up the factory as fast as possible, so that we start reaping the benefits in the earliest opportunity possible. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, want to end there by confirming that I support this report, and I support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Mbogoni Ward.
Kwa leo naomba niweze kuzungumza Kiswahili. Kwanza nachukua fursa hii Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kupongeza kikamilifu kabisa ndugu yangu mwenyekiti wa bajeti pamoja na kamati yake katika kipindi hiki. Naweza nikasema kiko si chepesi sana, kipindi kigumu cha kuhakikisha kwamba bajeti hii imeweza kupigwa msasa na mpaka ikafikia katika ngazi ya leo ambayo inaweza kujadiliwa. Lakini kabla sijaweza kutoa maoni yangu kuhusu hii bajeti, pia ningependa kusema mambo mawili. Kwanza kabisa, ilifikia wakati nikiwa katika hili bunge najihisi kwamba labda watu wangu, ndugu zangu, watu wa Mbogoni walikosea kwa kunichagua. Lakini nilienda katika soul searching mission, nikahoji nafsi yangu kwa muda mrefu, nikaweza kuongea pia na Mungu wangu kwa muda mrefu sana. Na kuna maneno katika kitabu cha Biblia huwa yalikuwa yananipatia moyo. Ikisema kwamba bisheni nami nitawafungulia, niiteni nami nitawaitikia, niombeni nami nitawapatia. Na nikasema kumbe huyu Mungu nikimuomba na nikigonga mlango, yote yale ninayotaka anza kunifanyia. Na katika wiki 2-3 zilizoisha mpaka kufikia leo nimeona kweli huyu Mungu yuko, na kweli Mungu anaweza kusikia kilio cha watu wake na akakufungulia mlango na kukupatia zile baraka ambazo unazihitaji. Na baraka hizi Mungu huwa anazipatiana kupitia viongozi. So uongozi wa bunge, mimi nashukuru sana kwa hii fursa mlionipatia ya kunirudisha katika hizi kamati ili tuweze kumtumikia mwananchi na kutenda yale majukumu ambayo Mungu alitupangia ili tuje kuyatenda pamoja. Na nashukuru sana pia kwamba kwa mara ya kwanza nitakaa kama naibu mwenyekiti katika kamati ya implementation, na huyu ndugu yangu mwenyekiti ni jembe kama mimi, na ninajua tutapambana kuhakikisha kwamba yale yote ambayo mnapitisha tunaweza kuyafuatilia na yaweze kutendeka vizuri zaidi. Katika Qur'an kuna aya inapenda kusema sana na inanipetega moyo sana. Inasema kila baada ya dhiki kuna faraja. Na Mungu akawa na hekima kipekee, akarudia aya hiyo akisema hakika kila baada ya dhiki kuna faraja. na kweli mimi nimeona kila baada ya dhiki kuna faraja, na hakika kila baada ya dhiki kuna faraja. So mimi nashukuru sana kwa hili, na nizungumze tu kwa uchache kwa yale ambayo pia nimeona mmefanya. Ilikuwa nasemekana kwamba katika lugha ya Kitaita kuna msemo mmoja Kitaita unasema mtoto mwizi anaweza akapitishwa mbele ya wajomba zake, ndugu zake, babake, na akasema huyu ni mwizi, nendeni mkamuue. Lakini akipatishwa mbele ya wajomba zake, ndugu ya mama zake, watasema hapana, huyu si mwizi huyu, na watakuwa tayari kumpigania na wamtoe. Na mimi ninashukuru kwa sababu wema huo nimeuona mahali, na mimi ninashukuru, na hili neno sitalichukulia kimzaha, na nitalifanyia kazi kwa bidii kabisa. Nikisema namna hii, katika hii bajeti yetu ambayo tunaipitisha siku ya leo, kuna wakati ilifikia mahali nikashindwa hata kutoa maoni yangu katika hii bajeti, kwa sababu ilikuwa ikionekana mchele inaonekana mbogoni, ikionekana mbogoni inaonekana taraya, ikionekana taraya anaambiwa labda ni yule mtoto wa kambo yule ambaye hafai. Lakini mwisho wa siku mimi nashukuru sana ndugu zangu, tumeunga hii bajeti mkono, na hatujaiunga bajeti mkono ati kwa sababu eti ni taraya na kupata. Hili si swala la taraya, hili ni swala la watu wa Taita Taveta County kwa ujumla. Na mimi kwa mara ya kwanza kabisa hii bajeti ninaiunga mkono, kwa sababu nimeona angalau serikali imeanza kuwa serious. Serikali zote zilizopita hapo nyuma walikuwa wakiweka bajeti kubwa sana katika mradi, watakwambia milioni 10. Lakini kwa mara ya kwanza nimeona milioni 80 imewekwa, inaenda kuchangia ule mchango wa kuweka industrial park pale Voi. Hilo ni jambo la kufurahisha sana. Na nimeona milioni 45 inaenda Taveta kwa sababu ya kuboresha kilimo. Hilo ni jambo la msingi sana. Nimeona zaidi ya milioni 200 tumeweka katika sekta yetu ya elimu. Hilo ni jambo la busara sana. Na mimi nina uhakika tukishikana kwa pamoja na tukatoa silaha zetu za kuhakikisha kwamba tunafanya oversight ya hii miradi yetu na tufanye ukaguzi vizuri, nina uhakika kabisa kwa neema ya Mwenyezi Mungu ambaye tunamwabudu, hii miradi itatendeka. Na sisi kama bunge la kaunti hii, na sisi kama serikali ya kaunti ya Taveta, tutahakikisha na sisi pia katika jamii tutaonekana kwamba kuna kitu cha maana ambacho pia tunaweza kukifanya na tukaweza kukitekeleza vizuri sana. So Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi ninyamazie hapo, na nikimalizia kuna msemo mmoja wa Kichina ili pia wachache wanaweza wakanielewa. Kuna msemo wa Kichina unasema iturusilondi buakshaka. Asante sana.
Today, Honorable Taraya has spoken several languages. It's only that he is a Muslim. If he were a Christian, I would have said maybe the Holy Spirit had descended on him this afternoon. And I was even I've had him refer to one of the verses in the Holy Quran, which is we can easily cross-reference it in Psalms chapter 30 verse 5b. You can Google as well. It gives you what you just said on the other side of the Quran. However, members, I now call upon Chair Budget to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the opportunity to reply. Mr. Speaker, sir, with all calmness I didn't have when I was reading the report at first, because understanding our financial status as a county, but thanking all the members in this house now for supporting and coming out strongly to support this supplementary budget, despite the fact that we all know that we are still falling short. This county needs a bare minimum of at least 10 billion to pretend to start budgeting for its needs. So therefore, with that bare, what I'm calling bare minimum, it means there will always be, with the little that we have in our resource envelope, there will always be many pressing issues, some very pressing, affecting our backyards, our wards, but could not be accommodated. It does not mean that the committee did not converse about all those issues, but we realize this is where we are, and this is our truth. Mr. Speaker, sir, with those few remarks, I want to appreciate all the committee members who took their time to study each and every passage of this supplementary budget. We've engaged with the executive, several meetings, and we've engaged as a whole house. For that reason, I want to appreciate the whole house. Mr. Speaker, sir, one major issue that was raised was the on-source revenue. And in the on-source revenue, there is even doubt, will we be able to achieve it? We gain our strength and assurance from the executive, and we know we are work in progress. Some may say it's 10 years down the line since devolution, but let's appreciate we are work in progress. Last financial year, for instance, for the hospital fund, we made a provision of 100 million. But because of a few controls instituted by the executive, we ended up raising 170. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, it means when we do a few things, we may be able to realize slightly more from within ourselves. But again, it may have to pass through a few documentation and a few new policies. But there is hope. So there is hope in tightening our ropes. And then there is hope in investing wisely, like we are trying to do with rice value addition. And the executive have assured us that they are also looking in the near future, hopefully by the next financial year, we invest also in the macadamia value addition, an area where we wished we could have done this financial year, but the constraint is real. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, with those few remarks, I beg to reply.
Honorable members, I now put the question that this third county assembly adopts and approves the report of the Select Committee on County Budget, Finance and Appropriations on the consideration of the TAITA TAVETA County Supplementary 1 estimates for financial year 2023-2024, laid on the table of this House on 14th November 2023, morning sitting number 075, and its recommendations thereof. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, I'd like to acknowledge the attendance at the gallery. We have Mr. Renson Mnyamwezi from the Standard Media Group and Mr. Raymond Njumwa from Radio Rahma and Sheki FM. Fairly to remind you, honorable members, just after the rise of this sitting, we shall be having a whole house meeting, thereafter followed by the Lands Committee having a brief meeting. Honorable members, there being no any other business, the House stands adjourned until Wednesday, 15th November 2023 at 9:30 a.m.